At Far-Flung Tin Can, we are bridging the gap between two diverse worlds, the Christian home and the mission field, through missions awareness, missions engagement, and worship in everything. We're traveling the world to the most remote places on the planet to find those who have laid down everything to say yes to God. And whoever said missions can't be fun? God is calling. Will you take the call?
Is a town, highest inhabited elevation town on planet Earth. It's about 17,000 feet in elevation, and there's about 50 to 60,000 people who have ascended on the mountain for the purposes of getting rich quick. It's kind of a modern day gold rush. So it has a lot of those type of characteristics, a lot of sex trafficking, a lot of, we're hearing, there's quite a bit of violence. And we talked to somebody yesterday, and they mentioned nothing good ever comes out of that place, even though that's what they're up there for, is to search for gold and get rich quick. But it seems the more we talk to people and ask them about it, we're finding out that it's more like a slave camp, if you will. Of course, the place has been poisoned by cyanide, arsenic, mercury, because that's what they use to break down the ore in order to extract the gold. And it makes it even more risky, and then combine that with a high altitude. But we're going, and we're going to minister the gospel. We've been sent there and feel good about that. In spite of all that, I still feel good inside in my spirit that we're going to be able to minister.
So out of the 60 Far-Flung members, we took 4 on this trip to Peru. Having a smaller team was kind of important, since this place that we're going to was not exactly the most stable or trusting. So we wanted to try to keep a low profile. So La Rinconada is located at 17,000 feet. Scientists say it's the highest that humans can live. And they're even struggling there with lung issues because of lack of oxygen. They never put in an infrastructure, so there's no sewage or trash pickup or anything like that. So everything's burned or thrown away. So there's mercury everywhere. Pairing that with the fact that there's no laws or police there. And the road up is going to be about 2.5 hours, ascending up 3,000 or 4,000 feet on icy mountainous roads. We need to kill some time to let our bodies acclimate as we rise up in elevation. So we're going to be traveling by train, plane, and taxi to go visit Machu Picchu.
This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
We're here in Peru at 8,000 feet in elevation. We're at one of the 7 ancient wonders in the world, Machu Picchu, and it's breathtaking. I watched a lot of YouTube videos on this place and knew what it would look like, and it was still more jaw-dropping in person. We're on our way. We're going to every day be scaling more and more feet up in elevation until we get to the highest civilization on Earth to do some ministry. But we had to stop here being this close to see this ancient wonder, and it's pretty incredible.
That's amazing. That's Machu Picchu.
Do you know any facts on Machu Picchu?
It's in Peru. It has Inca people.
So they're not here anymore.
Well, they used to be. Dude, that's awesome.
All right, we'll let you go.
Look at that. Are you really there right now, or is that a picture? It literally looks like...
I was trying to figure out how tired I was earlier, and then I think I finally realized, I think I'm just gonna give up on trying to figure out how tired I am and just be tired.
Peru is a beautiful country, and we're going to be able to see a lot of it on the 10.5-hour train ride. Our bodies are continuing to acclimate as we go up about another 1,000 feet in elevation. Although that the sights are breathtaking, 10.5 hours on a train does make you start to go a little stir crazy, and you've got to get creative with your time spent.
I was terrified. Why didn't you eat it? He's gonna eat it.
So La Rinconada is about 17,000 feet of elevation, and it's a gold mining community that has been there for not very long. They have about 70,000 people that are all doing one thing, searching for gold, hoping to strike it rich. And one of the unique things about La Rinconada is that it is actually the highest elevation city in the world. And while that seems really awesome and cool, it's actually also kind of like a forgotten place because of how high it is. We were talking to one of the train attendants earlier, and we were talking, actually Kyle was talking to him, and he said, he told him where we were going, and he said, he just kind of looked at him, and he's just like, it's a very dangerous place. So we're kind of excited, but also praying. One thing that we're really praying for is that God just does some incredible stuff, and some stuff that we wouldn't even expect in that city. There is 50% oxygen there, which is significantly less than what we're used to. And yeah, I don't even know. I'm just excited to see what happens.
First time traveling internationally, couldn't ask for a better place. It's beautiful, breathtaking, hard to explain, all the different things that you see from the elevation just to the pure beauty of the landscape and just the history, just beautiful, amazing.
So we have two bullhorns, one for Gary, one for Warbe. Of course, Warbe will be translating. Elijah and I will be trying to help with the logistics of Bibles and prayer cloths and filming things. We brought some smaller cameras to not be so intrusive, since we know that these people are already skeptical of us. Let's not bring out a bunch of large, fancy-looking equipment. We have the drone, but the drone's gonna get flown at some point. It might be a shot of us running out of a coal mine from a bunch of people, but it's gonna get flown. Yeah, our strategy is walk the streets, find people, and it could just snowball. Yeah.
One of the things that really inspired me the most was just thinking about, like, these people have traveled for hundreds of miles to go and find gold. Something that is considered one of the most valuable things on earth, you know? And it brings me back to that scripture that says, silver and gold I don't have, but what I have I give to you.
Wow.
And I was thinking about us going, like, we're not bringing gold, because they're after gold.
That's it.
But we have the most valuable thing, more valuable than any gold, silver, precious stone, gem, whatever it is. This one word kept coming up to me is this hope. The people that are hoping to find gold, but they're somewhat living in a level of hopelessness because they don't find it, you know, they don't find that richness that they're looking for. It's like they're looking for this material thing, you know?
Yeah.
And but I think that the hope that we're going to, you know, offer them is going to be something, I mean, that it's going to be so far worth, you know, more worth. This, I don't think that I know that, you know?
You know, Kyle always keeps a card back in the deck that you don't know that he has.
I usually hide a couple details about the trip from the team until the right moment. So I'm really excited about telling them where we're going to be heading before going to La Rinconada. We're going to get up at about 5 in the morning, and Lake Titicaca has a community, several communities of people there, indigenous people that live on floating islands. They've built these floating islands of the grass. Now, a lot of tourists go to like the first ones, like it's just a little marketplace, like it's something to see, you know. But there are all the way back, they're like the real ones that they're not there for tourists. You have to get permission to come.
Oh, wow.
They live on these grass floating islands that they're constantly weaving. And so we've got permission to show up. So we're gonna get on, if we get a slow boat, a 2-hour boat ride, we're gonna ask the chief, is it okay if we look around and we do any ministry? We're bringing them sugar and rice. That just happened 48 hours before we left.
Wow.
This is not the Amazon, okay? We've been on so many boats, you could get confused. These birds are going crazy, and we're just hungry for an adventure. It's a lot colder, you see by the clothes I got on.
So right now we're on our way to the island schools for this region.
There's about 45 students that leave their own islands and get in boats and come to this island for school. Our Peruvian pastor friend, Pastor Francisco, teaches religion at this school. We are looking at possibly coming back in the future and ministering to these students. Now off to visiting one of the families that live on a floating island.
Really beautiful place. Just how intuitive they are with what they're able to build, how they're able to live, how they're able to sustain it. Very welcoming. You can tell that they are very hospitable and want to take care of people when they come to the island. Continually ask us to stay, invite us back. Just very hospitable people.
Made sure he understood we're not coming to be served, but we came here to serve them, even though we're here for a short period of time. So I'm hoping Far-Flung Tin Can come back at a later date and do some more ministry.
Taxi driver says, oh, we'll be there in an hour. Okay, great. Well, we've been, going for about, 30, 45 minutes. And then Kyle just decides he's gonna look on his phone, see where we're at. We're still an hour away.
We're on our way to the next location, and Kyle is decided that his best place in this taxi is in the back where the luggage is. This is some kind of world record. We're packed in here like sardines, as they would say. We're getting queued up, getting all of our stuff organized, because of the nature of the place and the type of people that are there. We're trying to be strategic about what we take and what we leave back at the hotel. We want to make sure we obviously don't forget anything we're going to need, but we don't want to take anything that's too valuable because of bandits on the road. So we're trying to just figure out what's necessities and what is not, and for sure not to forget the snacks, because we're going to have to eat those. It's hard to breathe. It's hard to breathe up here. We're at 12,700 feet. Let me hit this. Ready to go now.
Sorry, that was my hairspray.
My lungs are stuck together now. I won't be making the trip.
The only way up to La Rinconada is up a winding mountain for 3,000 feet. You could take taxis, but we decided to ride in these community vans called collectivos. It's what all the miners that are coming in from out of town ride in. These roads are really dangerous, and they look for people that don't really belong there. And often they'll put a giant boulder in the middle of the road to create a distraction, and then when you get out to move the boulder, there's bandits on the roads that will then kill you and take your car. So we decided that the safest route for us to get to La Rinconada was right in the middle of the miners that are driving up and down every day. When you are an outsider and you come to La Rinconada, immediately they think you're coming for their gold. We were warned by many people that that's any American that comes, they think, okay, they've come to steal our jobs, they've come to steal our gold. It didn't take but 5 minutes in the car ride before they start saying, so after we said we've come here for ministry and we're gonna hand out Bibles and we wanna pray for people, like 10 minutes later they're asking, so did you come here for our gold? We started to get discouraged on the way up there. They were getting in our heads a little bit because we told them we wanted to minister, we just want to help people, we just want to pray for healings and and encourage others. And the miners were saying, listen, you're not going to be able to do anything in a day. They're not going to be able to, no one is going to trust you in a day. When you start to get there, you start to see just trash leading into the city, and just mines everywhere where they have just dug into this mountain, dug everything they can out of this mountain.
Okay, we just hiked up to one of the several mines here in La Rinconada. It's now a lot of snow. You can't even see the mountains around us. It's a solid mix between really beautiful and really sad. The views and the cliffs and the snow is just beautiful, but there's trash and sludge everywhere. There's somewhere around 50,000 people that live in La Rinconada. There's shacks everywhere, no sewage, no water. The place just grew so quick because everybody came here desperate for gold. And so there's just mines everywhere, and it's dangerous, but it's just, there are beautiful people here that we have been able to connect with just today that are just trying to provide for their family, trying to get ahead, and a lot of them are not getting ahead and are digging deeper and deeper holes, and just can't get out of the system. It is the highest civilization on earth. How are you feeling as far as breathing now that we're at 17,000 and you carried a 50-pound bag?
It's hard to recover. Once you lose your breath, it takes a while.
Even before we came, I think everyone was pretty skeptical of why we were coming up here. Kind of thought we were a little bit crazy. Like, what are they thinking? They could go somewhere else, be a little easier. I don't think that anyone knew how we were going to be accepted. I don't think we fully knew how we were going to be accepted. When we first got up here, people kind of met us with some of the looks of, you know, kind of nothing bad, but just kind of, who are they? What are they doing here? But very friendly, very accepting, shaking hands. So in no way ill will whatsoever.
At one point, I got on one bullhorn and Jonathan got on the other bullhorn, and I began to preach. I did an illustrated message using feats of strength in order to get their attention. And the first thing I told them when I felt the anointing come on me is, we did not come for your gold.
You've been looking for gold for 25 years.
Algunos de ustedes han estado buscando por oro más de 25 años.
You know how to search for it.
Saben cómo se ve en la montaña.
You know how to look for it.
Saben dónde ir a buscar.
But some days you search for it and you don't find any.
Pero hay algunos días que tú buscas y buscas y no encuentras nada.
I got a promise for you today.
Pero tengo una promesa para ti hoy.
God make you a promise.
Dios hizo una promesa.
If you seek Him,
si lo buscas a él,
if you search for Him,
si lo buscas a él,
you'll find Him.
Lo vas a encontrar.
When you search for Him with all your heart.
Cuando lo buscas a él con todo tu corazón.
He wants you to seek after Him.
Él quiere que lo persigas.
Just like you look for that gold.
De la misma forma que tú persigues o buscas el oro en las montañas.
But He's got a better guarantee.
Pero tiene una promesa.
You'll not waste your days.
Nunca vas a gastar un día.
You'll not waste your time.
No vas a perder tu tiempo.
Because if you'll reach and search for Him,
porque si lo persigues a él,
you will find Him.
Vas a encontrar a Dios.
When you search for Him with all your
heart.
heart.
Cuando lo sigues y lo persigues a él.
After Gary finished his message, we gave an opportunity for any of the people there in the square to get prayer for healing or salvation. Come down, meet us, and we'll pray for you. And we had no takers. We just stood there. And finally, after asking, one of the leading miners just said, all right, took his helmet off, came down and said, I want prayer. And from that moment on, everyone just flooded down and said, I want prayer too, I want prayer too.
Kind of see the mood has changed just in the past couple hours from an audience that was partially paying attention and bought in, some in the background not bought in whatsoever, some snickering over to the other side, to now it's just all eyes on in the center, line forming.
One person saw the Bible, and it just turned into a mob. They're practically pulling them out of my hands.
Tanta Biblia por aquí otra Biblia. No, nada más. Que nada más. Oh, Mister.
And we're here in La Rinconada. We've been here for about 4 hours or so. And as you can see behind me, there's a line. And it doesn't look very big right now, but I will tell you that the last 4 hours, it has stayed that size.
As one goes out of the line, two more come around. It's just very special. It's awesome.
Which means that people have continued to come. There has been, situations of back pain, head pain, even as complicated as, surgeries not healing for 2 years. And, but we believe that these people, some of them don't understand what's happening. And that's what's amazing to me. Literally, they're just coming up knowing nothing of what's happening. And all they know is just that they're hearing the stories of people that are going up to them, their friends and family, and they're just coming in to see what God is going to do in their lives. And it has been honestly one of the most challenging physically situations I've been in when it comes to prayer and healing and praying over and witnessing. But I'm believing that although there's that little bit of the sacrifice, there's so much more that we can't see, and that this is all worth it, because these people, one of the things that we've been praying over a lot is hopelessness, even depression.
And we were handing out prayer cloths and people were being healed. One lady testified that she systematically and instantaneously got healed right there on the spot of her eyes. One gentleman had pain, it was excruciating pain in his feet and in his ankles. So I knelt down, and Jonathan was touching him and praying. Some others in the group were praying, and the man testified that immediately he got healed as well. One lady, I asked her, I said, how did you know we were here praying for people? She said, my friend said there's healing. People are being healed here.
These men have come, and they're praying for people in the square, and they're healing.
And she had went and told her friend a couple of hours earlier. She told another friend and another friend. So these people, I'm telling you, one right after the other after the other.
Many people keep coming up to us saying, how much are you charging to heal? And of course it was nothing, but they were so desperate for it, and their faith was so strong that they were willing to pay for it.
At one point in the middle of a driving rainstorm, we were able to lead 60 miners in the salvation prayer to receive Christ as their Lord and Savior.
After 9 straight hours of ministry, we were wore out. By the end of it, we were sitting and the line was coming to where we sat. The line stayed the same amount. We actually had to leave the people there with a general prayer at the end.
You know, when God sends you to a place where you got nothing but a big question mark, all these fears rise up and try to attach themselves to you. And this place is a very risky place. But on the back side of that, I realized that when all the props are kicked out, when there's nothing but you and God and a word from the Lord, and you're stepping out into basically darkness, if you will. He said his word was a lamp to our feet and a light to our path. I realized that, and that point right there is really what he means when he says that he worked with them and he confirmed his word with signs following, and the fact that also God will give you boldness to be able to speak even in the midst of a situation that is very risky. God will back that up with his boldness.
This trip had us pretty nervous, going into a place with no contacts on the ground, which is not how we normally operate, going on what we believe God told us to do, to a place that every single person said don't go. They said that you won't come back. We found out about 3 hours after we left, we found out on the news that 13 men loaded up a van and headed up the mountain with assault rifles and went into the streets, killing people in the streets for their gold, and robbed as many as they could in the town and headed down the mountain where the police were able to catch them then. But this happened just right after we left. This is the kind of place that we're going to, where there's no security, that if you do strike gold, which most of the time you don't, Most of the people that move there are poor, and they move there to hopefully get rich. They end up being more poor than they were before they got there. And if you do strike gold, you're living in a small shack, and you better not let anyone know that you found a bunch of gold, because they're gonna murder you. So going into a place like that is pretty nerve-wracking, but we went based off of what we really felt God told us to do, and God showed up. It wasn't just an amazing experience as far as seeing the results of 9 hours of prayer and seeing healings left and right, but it was also one of the easiest ministries. We kept looking at our watch saying, has it been 4 hours? Has it already been 6 hours? We still don't know the full picture of what God's doing with us in La Rinconada. We know that we're not done. We know that we're going back very soon with a larger team. This story has encouraged the other Far-Flung members, and now they are saying, I want to lay it on the line, I want to go, I feel a call to minister with you back at La Rinconada. So our next step is another campaign with a larger team, but with worship and more people to pray and more people to minister. And so we're headed back. I don't know what part 2 is going to look like, but we know that God is not finished yet with our story with La Rinconada.